Cartoon Network gave us icons like the Powerpuff Girls, Adventure Time, and the Amazing World of Gumball. But for every hit that defined childhood, there were experiments that quietly disappeared, buried by bad scheduling, poor toy sales, or simply being too creative for their time. These are shows that dared to be different. Some focused on unique art styles, some told deeper stories, and some were just so strange they confused audiences when they aired. Yet now, years later, many of these shows feel refreshing, even visionary. Today, we're bringing them back into the spotlight. 10 Cartoon Network shows that time forgot, but definitely shouldn't have. Get ready, because this is going to unlock some deep nostalgia. Mike, Lou and OG aired from 1999 to 2001. Think back to 1999. Cartoon Network was full of high-energy shows, Dexter's Laboratory and Courage the Cowardly Dog. And in the middle of all that chaos, a calm, character-driven show about cultural exchange on a tropical island. Mike, Lou and OG followed Mike Mazinski, a Manhattan girl who joins an exchange program and ends up living with two eccentric locals. Princess Lou, a spoiled girl who thinks she runs the island. OG, her genius brother who builds gadgets out of coconuts and bamboo. The humor was quieter, the pacing slower, and instead of non-stop slapstick, it focused on friendships and small adventures. It was wholesome, which ironically worked against it. Kids wanted action and loud jokes, and Mike, Lou and OG just didn't fit the network's wild energy image. So why it's worth remembering. Its dry humor and culture clash concept were rare for kids' cartoons at the time. And Nancy Cartwright, the legendary voice of Bart Simpson, voiced Princess Lou. That voice actor was part of this forgotten gem. Watch it today, and it feels different in the best way. It's one of those shows you can actually chill with. It's proof not every cartoon had to be loud chaos to be good. Sheep in the Big City aired from 2000 to 2002. Picture this. A sheep escapes from a farm, only to be hunted by a secret military group, because they need him to power their brand new sheep-powered ray gun. That's the plot. Sheep in the Big City wasn't like anything else on Cartoon Network. It leaned into surreal humor, wordplay, and absurd cutaway gags. The main villain was literally named General Specific, with a sidekick called Private Public. It even broke the fourth wall constantly. Characters talked directly to the audience and joked about their own writing. Creator M.O. Willems, who went on to write best-selling children's books like Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus, used a minimalist art style and clever writing that confused kids but delighted adults. Why it's forgotten? Most kids didn't get it. It wasn't fast-paced or visually loud. It was too clever, and maybe too smart for its time slot. But when revisiting it now, it feels ahead of its time, almost like a prototype for the kind of meta-humor we see in Gumball or regular show. This was one of those shows where, if you laughed, you felt like you were in on a secret joke the rest of the world missed. Time Squad aired from 2001 to 2003. Ever wonder what would happen if Bill and Ted teamed up with a protocol droid and a WWE wrestler? Congratulations, you just imagined Time Squad. The premise? Genius. In the distant future, history starts unraveling like a loose thread, and someone needs to stitch it back together. Enter the Time Squad. Otto Osworth, a history-obsessed orphan. Larry 3000, a snobby, uptight robot voiced by Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker doing cartoon sass. Buck Tudrussell, a big, loud agent who thinks every problem can be solved with a good punch. Every episode sent this hilariously incompetent crew to fix a historical figure who'd gone rogue. Abraham Lincoln quitting politics to become a pro wrestler. Leonardo da Vinci giving up inventions to paint nothing but pizzas. Or George Washington deciding he really wanted to be a professional rapper. Okay, maybe not that one, but you get the vibe. It was fast, smart, and way funnier than people gave it credit for. And it made history cool, or at least, dumb enough to make you laugh while learning something. Why did it disappear? This was the first Cartoon Network series fully animated in-house after Hanna-Barbera merged into CN Studios. That's a big deal historically. But unfortunately, it came at a time when viewers were obsessed with chaotic, high-energy cartoons like Ed, Edd n Eddy. Time Squad had humor, but not the same visual chaos, and it slowly slipped through the cracks. The truth? Time Squad was actually brilliant. Kids just didn't fully get the concept. And because it didn't sell toys, it had a short 2-season run. Imagine if your history teacher was armed with a ray gun and bad impulse control. That's this entire show, and honestly, I'd trust them to teach me more than my actual history class did. The Life and Times of Juniper Lee aired from 2005 to 2007. Before Disney launched American Dragon, Jake Long, Cartoon Network already had its own teen hero balancing high school life and magical chaos. Juniper Lee. Juniper Lee was your average teen, except she inherited the title of Tianzai, the magical protector of humanity and the hidden mystical world. That meant 1 minute she's doing algebra homework, and the next, she's fighting a literal soul-eating demon at the mall. Her team included Ray Ray, her hyper little brother, perfect for comic relief. Monroe, a magical talking dog with the voice of a grumpy Scottish grandpa. Her grandmother Jasmine, a retired Tei Xianzai who served as Juniper's mentor. Why it was different. Most magical teen cartoons at the time were either anime imports or male-led. Danny Phantom, Jackie Chan Adventures. Juniper Lee gave us a female Asian American protagonist, one of the very few at the time, and wove in Chinese mythology, unique monster designs and cultural themes, years before representation became a buzzword. Why don't people remember it? Timing killed this show. Disney aggressively marketed Jake Long, while Cartoon Network barely promoted Juniper Lee. It didn't have toy tie-ins, and its tone was more character-driven than joke-driven, so it faded behind louder series like Ben 10 and Teen Titans reruns. But looking back now, it's aged really well. The designs hold up, the action scenes were fun, and Juniper herself was one of the few girl protagonists who felt like an actual teenager, not a perfect hero. Juniper Lee was out here saving the world and passing math class, while I could barely pass PE. Honestly, we didn't deserve her. We've gone from time travel fails to a magical teen icon that Cartoon Network let slip away. But now it's time to step into adventure serials and early experimental weirdness, because the next shows pushed boundaries even harder. The Secret Saturdays aired from 2008 to 2010. Imagine growing up thinking your family was normal, until you realize family business means hunting cryptids, protecting ancient secrets, and preventing world-ending disasters. Welcome to The Secret Saturdays. This show followed Zack Saturday, his scientist parents Doc and Drew, and their pet cryptids, a gorilla cat hybrid named Fiskerton, a genetically modified Komodo dragon named Komodo, and a flying dinosaur named Zon. Together, they traveled the world to find and protect mysterious creatures. Think Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, and every urban legend you can think of, while preventing these creatures from falling into the wrong hands. And by wrong hands, I mean Vivi Argost, one of Cartoon Network's creepiest villains ever. Argost had this unsettling, old-school horror movie vibe, and he wanted to unlock the power of a being called Kur to rule the world. Basically, this show was like Johnny Quest on steroids. Global travel, crazy tech, cryptid lore, and one of the best serialized plots Cartoon Network ever greenlit. Why did it fail? Timing. In 2008, Cartoon Network was going through what fans now call its weird live-action phase. CN Real, yeah, we don't talk about that. The network was shifting away from action shows and into comedy-first content. The Secret Saturdays was story-driven and serialized, which is great for fans but bad for casual viewers and toy sales. But even with its short run, it still earned a passionate fanbase, and even a crossover episode with Ben 10. Omniverse, proving the creators knew how to build a larger Cartoon Network universe. Imagine explaining to your school friends, "Yeah, my dad wrestled a chupacabra last week while I fought a giant snake god." That's not detention-worthy. That's legendary. I Am Weasel from 1997 to 2000. Before Cartoon Network had its modern hits, it experimented like crazy. One of those experiments was I Am Weasel. Originally part of Cow and Chicken episodes, it eventually became its own spin-off. The setup was chaotic genius. I Am Weasel, a heroic, beloved genius who could do no wrong. Ir Baboon, a jealous, incompetent fool constantly trying to outdo Weasel and failing spectacularly. The Red Guy, a weird, loud villain who was somehow both terrifying and hilarious. It was loud, messy, and full of slapstick chaos, and that's exactly why it worked. Michael Dorn, Worf from Star Trek, voiced Weasel, giving him this serious, almost noble vibe, which made Baboon's failures even funnier. Charlie Adler voiced both Baboon and Red Guy, proving he might be one of the most underrated voice actors ever. Why did it fade? Because Cartoon Network hit gold with other cartoon original, Dexter's Laboratory, Johnny Bravo, Powerpuff Girls. Those shows got marketing and reruns, while I Am Weasel slowly got buried. It didn't help that the humor was pretty edgy for kids' TV, even in the 90s. Still, I Am Weasel deserves credit for being one of CN's earliest attempts at a connected cartoon universe. Without it, CN might not have been as bold with experimental spin-offs later on. Weasel was basically that straight-A kid everyone secretly hates, and Baboon was all of us trying to wing it on a group project. Guess who got the credit every single time? Megas XLR, 2004 to 2005. Okay, let's talk about a giant alien war robot, piloted by a New Jersey slacker, who modded it with a car dashboard and a video game controller. That's Megas XLR, one of Cartoon Network's best cult classic. The hero, Coop, wasn't your standard anime-style pilot. He was a gamer and mechanic who just found an alien mech and thought, you know what this needs? Cup holders and NOS. His co-pilot was Jamie, a cowardly best friend, and Kiva, the mech's intended pilot who constantly questioned her life choices for trusting these two. Why it was amazing. Every episode was filled with references and parodies of anime, sci-fi, and even pop culture in general. It knew it was ridiculous, and it leaned into it hard. Coop basically saved Earth every week by causing massive amounts of collateral damage. The running gag? Billboards and random buildings being destroyed for no reason. The action scenes were movie-level good for a kid's show, the humor hit both kids and adults, and it had one of the coolest mechs ever animated. Why did it fail? Merchandise. Like many CN shows at the time, survival depended on toy sales, and Megas XLR didn't move enough unit. Without toy money, even a passionate fanbase couldn't keep it alive. It only lasted 2 seasons, but today, fans talk about it as one of Cartoon Network's most criminally cancelled series. Coop turned the most advanced alien weapon in the galaxy into a tricked-out street racer and still saved Earth. That's the most New Jersey thing ever. We've covered cryptid hunting families, jealous cartoon baboons, and the most chaotic mech pilot of all time. But for the final stretch, we're going even deeper into Cartoon Network's experimental heart, shows that were surreal, unsettling, and ahead of their time, and one that's considered a cancelled masterpiece. Camp Lazlo, 2005 to 2008. Take Rocco's modern life, give it a summer camp makeover, and sprinkle in a cast of bizarre animal campers. Boom, you've got Camp Lazlo. The main trio? Lazlo, an overly positive spider monkey who somehow saw joy in even the worst camp activities. Raj, a sweet but overly anxious elephant, always worried about everything. Clam, a quiet, slightly weird rhino who spoke almost entirely in single words but still managed to steal every scene he was in. They attended Camp Kidney, run by Scoutmaster Lumpus, a lazy, self-centered moose whose greatest talent was not doing his job, and his assistant Slinkman, a neurotic banana slug who was basically the actual responsible adult. The humor was chaotic but warm. It had that slice-of-life vibe where episodes were about minor camp competitions, ridiculous urban legends, or rivalries with the all-girls camp, Acorn Flat. Why did it fade? The show was genuinely good. It even won multiple Emmys and a Peabody Award. But by the late 2000s, Cartoon Network was shifting to edgier humor, Chowder, Flapjack, and experimenting with live-action, CN Real. Camp Lazlo didn't fit the new direction, and slowly slipped off the schedule. Why it's worth remembering. For fans who love cozy, feel-good cartoons, Camp Lazlo still holds up today. It's light-hearted, creative, and filled with lovable characters. Also, its art style, bright colors, hand-drawn textures, gave it a unique look compared to most CN shows of that era. Comedic take. Scoutmaster Lumpus might be the worst camp leader in history, but let's be real, he's exactly the kind of guy running actual summer camps. The Marvelous Misadventures of Flapjack, 2008 to 2010. Now let's get weird. The Marvelous Misadventures of Flapjack was one of Cartoon Network's most surreal shows ever made. The setting? Stormalong Harbor, a grimy, unsettling port town full of shady characters, strange shops, and a constant feeling that something was just off. Flapjack, an overly optimistic boy raised by Bubby, a talking whale, teams up with Captain Knuckles, a washed-up pirate with wooden body parts and highly questionable morals. Their dream? Finding the legendary Candied Island, a paradise made entirely of candy. Why it felt different. The humor was dark. The visuals? Sometimes straight-up creepy, using unsettling close-ups, distorted character designs, and a muted, almost sepia color palette. It gave kids a strange feeling, half fascinated, half scared, and adults weirdly obsessed. Why it's legendary now. At the time, many kids didn't get it, but this show ended up being a launching pad for modern animation legends. Adventure Time creator Pendleton Ward worked on Flapjack. Regular show creator J.G. Quintal was also there. Over the Garden Wall creator Patrick McHale? Yep, also Flapjack crew. Basically, the DNA of 2010's Cartoon Network started right here. Flapjack trusted a half-broken pirate and a talking whale more than any adult in that port town, and honestly, same. Symbionic Titan, 2010 to 2011. And finally, the most painful one, Symbionic Titan. Created by Jendi Tartakovsky, the genius behind Dexter's Laboratory and Samurai Jack. This show blended emotional teen drama with high-stakes sci-fi battles. The story? Princess Ilana, Soldier Lance, and Robot Octus flee an alien warlord and hide on Earth, posing as high school students. But when enemies follow them, they merge into a giant robot, Symbionic Titan, to defend their new home. Why it was so good? Stunning animation, Tartakovsky's signature cinematic action, heartfelt writing. Octus, the robot, had one of the best learning to be human arcs in any cartoon. High stakes. It wasn't just Monster of the Week. It had a serialized plot with emotional payoff. Why was it cancelled? One word, merchandise. Back then, networks cared less about ratings and more about toy sales. Symbionic Titan didn't move toys, so it was cancelled after one season, despite critical acclaim and a growing fanbase. Its legacy. Today, it's considered one of Cartoon Network's biggest missed opportunities. Fans still beg for a reboot, and many critics rank it among the best short-lived animated series ever. Cartoon Network said, "We don't care about your emotional arcs or perfect animation. Where are the toys?" And just pulled the plug. Tragic. Forgotten, but never gone. Looking back, these shows prove one thing. Cartoon Network wasn't afraid to experiment. They gave us comfy summer camp hijinks, dark surreal pirate adventures, and even an anime-quality sci-fi epic, all on one network. Some shows failed because they were ahead of their time, Flapjack, some because they didn't fit CN's marketing strategy, Camp Lazlo, and some simply because of toy sales, Symbionic Titan. But here's the thing, none of them were bad. They were creative risks, something Cartoon Network has always been known for. And while they might have faded from TV, they live on through fan nostalgia, online discussion, and the creators who went on to shape the next generation of animation. So which one of these forgotten shows do you remember? Which one deserves a reboot? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe, because next time we might be digging up even deeper lost gems from your childhood. Because let's be honest, if Cartoon Network can bring back Samurai Jack, maybe one of these forgotten classics could make a comeback too.